going to document it here, how to set up an altar. The first thing they say is you should at least start with something that's wood, something natural as opposed to metal. If you're in a situation where you cannot, the only thing you can do is metal, then go ahead and do it. You're going to make it work. But ideally, you want to use wood. Now, Professor James Smalls said in one of his lectures that naturally, most black people have an altar in their house already. Usually when you go to somebody's house, they'll have a shelf with all their family pictures up in one area. Their aunts, their grandmothers, and such and such. And without even knowing it, that's actually an altar. You get what I'm saying? Altar or a shrine. It's just that we don't think of it as an altar. So even though it does what it does, it makes the house feel warm. The matriarch that's passed on, or the patriarch that's passed on, or represented, the grandparents. So you still feel that ancestral connection based upon just somewhere in your house where you have these pictures of, or scattered around your living room. So only thing really an altar is a place where you concentrate your spiritual energy as opposed to something that you're doing naturally. So what you want to do is get something wooden, a shelf, 3 level, 2 level, 1 level, doesn't matter, something that you like. Now people say that you're supposed to face it towards the east. That's too technical for me. If I would say face it the way you feel at this particular point. None of these things are written in stone, especially not anymore. Face it any way you want. Now, on your altar, your wooden altar, one of the things that you want to have are pictures. Your altar is a gateway to the spiritual world. It's a workspace. My altar it doesn't look pretty. It doesn't look like furniture. It looks like a workspace. There's a lot of candle wax, oil, and just a whole bunch of shit based upon things I've done throughout the years that actually stick to this altar because it's actually a workspace more than just furniture. So one of the elements you need up there, because it's first and foremost a gateway to the ancestors, are those pictures up. Those aunts, those uncles, those grandparents, mother, father, whomever. Now, as a side note, understand that, let's say your grandfather wasn't so nice to you on Earth. You got to understand, now that they have left Earth, they're from a whole different perspective. And understand that the relationship that you had down here was probably necessary 9 times out of 10 for you to become who you are. So let's say you are conscious enough to want to make an altar, it's because the good and the bad has influenced you into consciousness. So while grandfather number 1 on your father's side was very sweet and gave you quarters, grandfather number 2, who kicked you in the ass and told you don't touch a screen door, was also just as necessary. So he does have a place on your altar. That's up to you. But what I'm trying to point out here is to don't base it on your earthly relationships. Understand that these people now on the other side can help you. You get what I'm saying? Now, the next kind of element you want to have up there are particular gods, statues or pictures of these gods that you either have an affinity to, or you may have studied, or you understand their energy enough to understand if you put them up, you're trying to access that particular energy, which does reside in you. By putting it on your altar, it's a constant reminder of what you're trying to harness within yourself. You feel what I'm saying, Blue?
Oh, yes.
All right. So, Anubis, Kuan Yin, Hanuman, Ganesha, Amadama, Saint Martha, any of the Apollo deities, any of the Orisha deities, anything that you've come across. If you can't get the statue, get the picture, and you put it up. And what you're doing in your particular altar or your gateway is you're starting to set up an energy stream from the invisible world to the visible world. The visible world being your altar, which reaches into the world of the unseen. And the altar is considered Malkuth, the earth element of your spirituality. So anything you physically put on there or energy you physically put into it is the transportation that radiates in the spirit world. It becomes a two-way avenue. So it becomes a physical act that gets you into the spiritual realm. That's why it's so key. So any of those gods, goddesses, a statue will do fine. Now, anything I wear on my neck, rings, anything that I want to charge up spiritually, I also put on my altar. So let's just say Florida water. You buy some Florida water, put it on your altar. The panic pack or whatever, anything that you get for spiritual uses, you should store it on your altar, because this is where it charges up with your spiritual energy, because the altar is your battery on earth that reaches throughout, your antenna that reaches throughout. So those are the things you want to hang and place on your altar. Crystals, I would say, is something you should get on your altar. Anything a crystal is around, it heightens or amplifies the energy. So to amplify anything you're doing, whatever crystal of your choice, clear quartz crystal being one of the best to do, is what you should place on your altar to amp your thoughts. Now, if you don't know about crystals, I've said it before, you could just throw a rock in Barnes & Noble and find a good book on crystals. You really can't go wrong with a book. Most of them are encyclopedias. You really can't go wrong. And it'll tell you how to clean them, tell them how to charge them. And the quartz crystal, the clear quartz, can be charged in any way you like. Most of the stones already have a purpose, like rose quartz taps into the love, the heart frequency. That's already, you want to kind of say, written in stone. You could take that and make it apply to whatever situation you need it to apply in terms of love. Now, clear quartz crystal, on the other hand, you can leave it in salt water, sea salt water in the sun for a few days, under the earth. There's a couple of more ways to clean it. And then that clears the crystal. And then you can definitely breathe or talk your intention into it. And in other words, that particular crystal is programmable for whatever your intention. So that makes it a useful tool for your altar, because you could then take that crystal and program whatever it is your agenda, whatever it is you're into, whatever it is you're studying, into that crystal to help amplify your path. So crystals are a good thing to put on your altar as well. What the spirits like as gasoline or fuel is alcohol. Alcohol. The ancestors do enjoy alcohol, but some of your ancestors also enjoy water. So on your altar, you should keep out fresh water, and you should keep out a cup of alcohol. That's what I do. You'll see I'll pour that alcohol, that whole thing for the brothers who ain't here and pouring out liquor on the floor. That's something that's something from the archetype of your mind, the same way you have those altars in your house without knowing. The same way we pour liquor for the brothers who ain't here comes from something that's so old and ancient. That particular liquor, or whatever it is you're doing, whatever you're faced with, you could pour a fresh cup of liquor to the spirits you have on your ancestors, or whoever you decide to call on for a particular situation you're dealing with. So keep a cup for that liquor. Now, and again, I want to remind you, this is sacred space. So this is not furniture. You need to treat it like sacred space. You get what I'm saying? Nobody is to touch anything on your altar unless you allow it. I barely allow it. In fact, there's certain altars I have I don't really allow too many people to see, because you really don't want that energy on because this represents your mind. And as you keep certain people at a distance, strangers or people with ill intent, the same context. Now, another element that you could put on your altar are things, and this is really the key, and this is what's going to make it special. Things that mean shit to you. Things that mean shit to you. For instance, there was a few years ago, I was dealing with Lakshmi, and as I was dealing with, I'm walking in the street and I find a cheap earring, very cheap, but I knew it was confirmation from Lakshmi. You get what I'm saying? So that's on my altar. You'll find shit in the street that, what the fuck, this army man, but may have been dealing with Ogun, let's say. And you'll see an army man all fucked up in the street. It's okay to pick that up, put it on your altar, because that's the spirit trying to tell you how it could come and how it could work with you. So all of that's okay. So that's the basics. And for having the basics on an altar. But again, do not limit it to what I say.